Thank you. Hello. So I am here to talk about love and creativity. This conference is about creativity. How can you be creative when you're closed? How can you be creative when you're not interested in what you're doing? I'd like us to find ways to be naturally creative. For those of you who are lucky enough to have fallen in love, you may have noticed that it's really easy to find ways to spend time with that person or think up ways to do that. That's been my situation. Jonathan talked about ikigai. He talked about not quitting your day job, but tweaking it. So I'd like to give you some tools to tweak it. And along with Jonathan, if after tweaking it you still don't like it, I think it's time you found another job. So the key message in this session will be that if, as individuals, you reflect on what you can do and what you love doing, and that if you then share that in a team, I believe that you'll create a stronger team, a team that can more easily come up with different ideas and, just as importantly, is strong enough to implement them. So in this journey, I'm going to take you on a two-step journey. I hope you're not too afraid with the first part. As Berlin said, all the activities, they're optional. They're just invitations, and you do get to keep your clothes on. The love activities, what they are, they're some experiential and visualization exercises to help you connect to the things that you love. Then I'll switch to a more traditional mode and I'll be sharing you a bit of a story about the Skills and Wishes tool. So standard is to talk a little bit about myself. I'll keep it very brief. These are places I've lived in for at least a year, and the purple place is my home in Hobart. And my professional life, it all started basically sometime in the 1980s. Mum had brought home a PC. It had 2 floppy drives, and we had on the screen Microsoft Word for DOS, and Mum needed to do something with it. And I remember her stopping and saying, "I'm stupid. I can't do this." And I remember then my teenage brain thinking, "No, you're not stupid. What's going on here?" I'll share with you a bit more about my professional story a bit later on. I do have a passion, which Berlin alluded to, and that's dance. So in dance, we're really lucky because we understand the importance of warm-ups for the body-mind system. So what I'd like to do is invite you all to a warm-up as I go through my acknowledgement of country. So if it's okay for you, I'd like you to all stand up. And unless visual is your main communication channel, if you can close your eyes. So welcome to your body. Let's start with our awareness a bit out. So using our hearing, what's the strongest sound that you perceive? Now let's bring the awareness in to our bodies. There's a few different sensations probably going on. What can you feel? Maybe you're breathing in your chest, or through your nose or mouth. Maybe it's your muscles continually adjusting as you sit or stand still. I'd like us to now move our focus down to our feet. It's going to be probably easier if we just focus on one, let's go to our left foot and let's just sense the weight of our body pouring into the floor. Is it more on the front of your foot or the back? Or maybe it's even. And that weight is sinking deep, deep, deep into the earth. And at the same time, there's an equal and opposite reaction that supports you. Perhaps you can feel it right where your foot is on the shoe, that it's supporting you. And that support comes up through your leg, your hip, your spine, your neck, and then to your head. So this is our connection to the ground. For the traditional custodians of this land, connection to country is vital. And we're just experiencing one way to connect to land. And I'd invite you to reflect on your connection to land as I acknowledge the traditional custodians of Naarm, that's here, and Lutruwita, Tasmania, where my home is and where I've had the time and space to prepare this session for you. They've lived and cared for this land for tens of thousands of years and continue to do so. Thank you. So you can open your eyes, come back to the space and find your seat. So the next thing we have is to do a secret poll, but we'll first just practice the instructions. So as you can see, there's 3 options. And if we could just all practice putting one hand really high up, just all practice that so we get in our muscle memory. Then we put our hand on our head, that's the middle option. And if we're in the last option, we just put our hands down. So to keep this secret, I ask you now all to close your eyes. Especially if your colleagues are nearby, close your eyes. I will try not to look at my team. And now that your eyes are closed, if you can now choose your option. And you can put your hands down and you can open your eyes. That was beautiful to see. The statistics I read from 2017 is 27% of Australians love their job. I think we had even more than that here. So that's really great. I'm really happy about that. We're then going to go to the next activity, which is feeling no. So we're going to use that tuning into the stronger sensation that we just had a go at during our grounding. Again, I invite you to close your eyes if that's okay for you. And this time, I'd like you to think back to something memorable, a situation when someone invited you to do something and you didn't want to do it. Let's try to choose something not too intense and not overwhelming, but that you had a clear no to, even if you ended up saying yes. So for me, it was my optometrist, my former optometrist, trying to sell me my next pair of spectacles. So you choose your situation. And I'd like you then to come back into your body. What are the physical sensations you have with this no? So it's different for everyone. It could be a kind of, for me, it's a kind of closing, especially my chest. It's even a pushing away or a stepping back. What's yours? So I invite you to open your eyes and come back to the room. And I think you know what the next activity will be. It'll be quite similar, but this time we're going to close our eyes and think of an event that we were an enthusiastic yes to. So how does that feel? Let's focus on the physical sensations rather than any other emotions, because those physical sensations are the simplest to track. And in a few seconds, when you're ready and have completed that, I ask you to open your eyes, come back to the room, and just remember what those sensations are for you. So now, rather than play back some movies, we're going to make a new one. So we'll go a bit into the future. You've had a lovely time here at Design Outlook. It's next week. It's Monday. Let's say you start work at 9 o'clock, so it's half an hour before then. Again, my question to you is, how do you feel? How does that compare to your yes, to your no? Do you maybe feel both? And now if we shelve that movie, and we're going to now create another one. So let's imagine that the world has changed. Money is no object. You also have access to the resources to do whatever you wish to do. It's the same time, it's Monday, 8:30 in the morning. What would you do now? What would you do with your time? I'm really curious about the clarity of this picture. Have you thought about this before? So now I'd like you to also shelve this movie. Keep it somewhere safe where you can come back to it. Because now I'm going to share a bit of a story of my own. It's how the Skills and Wishes tool came into being. So back to my professional background. So quite a bit happened from that time as a teenager. And I want to take you fast forward all the way to the last 3 longer placements that I've had. So I was at Nokia in Finland, their home base, for 8 years. And there I got to experience the Finnish culture, and there's an exceedingly high level of trust there. They've had home working way before COVID, and what's more, people actually worked from home. So that showed me the power of trust. Then there were some more things happening, and then for 3 years I worked for a social enterprise that I created with 2 other people called Human Online. So our aim there was to bring authentic connection to people over the internet, but not dating. Because it was a startup, I had the opportunity to really consider the culture and shape the culture. And now, for the last 2 years, I've had this amazing opportunity at the Victorian government to grow and lead a human-centred design team. So these experiences have really got me thinking about, what do I want? What kind of people do I want to work with, and what do I want to do? And I can sum it up in these 2. I want to have enriching personal interactions that are supportive, positive, and teamy in the sense that we love collaborating, and that our differences are used in a way that can support each other rather than separate us. I also want to do something that's actually good for the world, but let's shelve that as a topic for another time. Let's focus on the first topic. So here I was in lockdown, building this team, and I really enjoy creating a safe space for my team so that we can share the personal aspects of ourselves. But I wanted more. I wanted to know, what can these people do, and what do they really like doing? I wanted to make it easier for us to collaborate, make it easy to reach out, send a message, ask for help. And I also wanted to unlock people's intrinsic motivation, because I really believe that you do your best when you're doing something you enjoy. The how part is they're the design principles, so I want it to be fun, simple and practical. And I came up with the skills and wishes tool. It's got 2 parts: skills, what can you do? Wishes, what do you love doing? What do you want to grow in? The skills, you can see there's a 1 to 5 scale. I looked at different ways of measuring competency, but none of them seemed to suit. I wanted something practical, that's self-evident, leads to self-assessment, don't need any tests, and it supports collaboration. So I came up with these. They're pretty self-evident. For the wishes, I think it's fairly self-explanatory. Just wanted it to look nice. And thank you, my team, for helping it look nice. So here you have an example. So you have in rows the skills. I encourage you, if you're going to use this tool, to make that skill list in a team, in a workshop, because that gets everyone invested, and it may help bring out skills that you've never thought of. As Jonathan talked about, hiding ourselves. If you can create a safe enough place, maybe people will share with you that they can hula hoop, or that they can do macrame, or they like singing. And all these things are really important, I think, to knowing each other as people. You can also see in the research side, at the quantitative research column, that we have perhaps a bit of a skill shortage. We can also see someone wants to grow in that. That's a good sign. Maybe that's some future training. And then if we look to the right-hand side, we can see on the UI design side, for high fidelity, someone wants to grow in that area, and there's someone who's capable of teaching in that area. So what an opportunity to combine those 2 people in the same project. Or at least make sure that there's time for them to help each other out. So we get to know each other. We can see at a glance skills that are in abundance or in shortage, and where desired work is in abundance or in shortage. And we can optimally combine people. There's also a bit of a connection to larger skill registers. So the organisation I work for, it's more than 1,000 people. We've got some really complex domain areas, so they're trying to track who knows what particular domain. And we've also got lots of skills to manage. I see this tool as leading into those. You can, from the ground up, build those lists and really get the teams discussing what are the things that they like doing, what can they do. Here's some of the feedback that I've had. I'd like to draw your attention to the first one. So many people find it hard to ask for help. I'd like to make it easy. And it's much easier when you know who can do it, but also that they really love doing it. My own observations are that I have a team that's super collaborative. And for me, it's really enjoyable to give them work that I know that they love doing or that they want to grow in. So we come back to this conference. It's about creativity. So creativity is not just about thinking up ideas. You also need to implement them, to pull them through. And I believe that when we're doing the things that we love, when we share what we love and what we can do in a team, you'll end up creating a stronger collaborative team that's able to not only come up with the ideas, but implement them. There are some organisations, government may be one of them, that is really great at coming up with obstacles and red tape. So creativity really helps with them trying to find the way around those obstacles. So in essence, it's about understanding what you love, doing what you love, and helping others to do that. Mothers, and my mother is no exception, thank you, is great at doing that. So we're about to break for afternoon tea. The mural is at the bottom. You're welcome to use that. If you do use that and adapt it, I would be really keen to hear what you do with it. And here's another opportunity to get to know somebody. There's queues for the toilets and the food, as you know. I invite you to stand next to someone you don't know, and you can ask them these questions. What are you passionate about, most passionate about? And how could you do more of it? Thank you.